welcome back. Today we're going to be doing more locomotor skills. To start, we're going to talk about running. So for running, the proper form is you should have your arms bent at a 90-degree angle. You should face in the direction that you're going to travel with your feet pointing forward and your body leaning forward. So to start, I'm going to model for our student here how a proper run should look. So, like I said, your arms are bent at a 90-degree angle, you're looking forward, your feet are pointing forward, and you're leaning forward. And you should pump your arms to give you momentum as you go. So it should look something like this. And if you also notice in that, you should have temporary moments of flight where both feet are off the ground. So that is what flight is, both your feet off the ground. And you get that from the speed when you're running. So some problems that a student might have is the flight issue. So for this conundrum, I have tape on the ground, and you can have the student practice running where they have to get from tape to tape, establishing that flight. So I'll have you practice.
So just don't touch the ground.
So when he's running, I'll model for the student because he's having a little bit of confusion. So you stand off to the side, and as you've seen earlier, I ran and had moments of flight. So I'm going to do that here. So each time I have flight, I should step off each tape, essentially. So it'll look something like this. And it kind of helps establish the flight for the student. So I'll have them practice now. Make sure you pump your arms. Go on. His stride is a bit longer, so I might need to spread out the tape a little bit. And then you could also have the student increase their speed to help them establish the flight and pump their arms and stuff as well. Some activities that you could incorporate with running. Running is a part of most sport activities. You could do simple things in gym class like kickball and wiffle ball where they're running from base to base. For this activity that I'm going to demonstrate with my student, we're going to do capture the flag. And normally you would have two teams, and they would have to get the other team's flags, but where there's only two of us, we're going to practice it that way and demonstrate. So my student here will be team red. I'll tuck it in his pants somewhere and I'll be green. And the concept of this game is I'll be on one end, he'll be on the other, and we have to try to run and get each other's flags or escape in the same way. And as you can tell, he would be the winner of the game, but it helps to establish the running skill and let them practice it in a fun way. And that's running. Okay. The next skill that we're going to do with locomotor movements is skipping. Now skipping, you're going to have your body facing in the direction you're going to travel again. Your arms should be bent at a 90-degree angle. And as you skip, a skip is basically a step and a hop. So you go step, hop, or I'll do it from this direction so you actually see. Step, hop, and then if you speed it up, that's just the basic steps. When you speed up, you should have sort of a moment of flight as you speed, and your arms should go back and forth in the opposite direction to give you the momentum like we had with running. So it'll be like this. Okay, so sometimes students have trouble with the flight part. And sometimes they speed it up so much that it turns into a run. So instead of skipping, they get excited and it turns into a with no hop, which is what makes the skip. So to practice this, you could slow it down with the student and just have them practice the step hop motion. And there wouldn't be flight, but of course, once they get the step hop down, you could speed up and it would turn into the skip. So you do the step hop, step hop, step hop, step hop. So I'm going to have our student practice the slowed down version. So we'll do it together. So we're gonna step, hop, step, hop, step, hop, step, hop, step, hop, and then we're gonna speed it up. Yep. Okay, and then if you wanted to do an activity to practice that step hop motion, you could always have the student do jump rope. Now, this jump rope is a bit short for our student, so I'm going to demonstrate it for you all. Basically, you'd have the student start with the jump rope behind them, and instead of doing the classic jump like this, they're going to do the skipping motion to help establish the skip hop that contributes to the skip, and that is skipping. Okay, the next skill that we're going to cover is the vertical jump. So with vertical jump, your form is that your feet are shoulder length apart, they're bent, your arms are behind you, and as you push off the ground, well, your arms should come forward to reach the sky, and as you do that, you should push off the ground and jump in the air. So it looks something like this. And you land right back to where you were. You don't move forward. So once again, your legs should be shoulder length apart, your knees are bent, your arms are behind you, and then you reach for the sky and jump back down. So sometimes when kids do this, they get the jumping part down. You're doing both with this, it's different than a hop, but they don't move their arms from backward to forward, which you need to help establish the momentum and the thrust to get you to go upward. So to practice this, you might have the student practice jumping, and you hold something over their head that they have to touch as they jump back up. For this student, he's a bit tall, so we're going to improvise when we practice this little activity here. Gotta get taller than him. But I'm going to have him get in his position, so feet apart, arms back, knees bent, and jump forward. This time, let's try to use both arms to touch the pole. Legs apart, knees bent, arms back. And that would be how you get them to practice that. You do it several times, especially with little kids. You could have them have a partner and have them interact in that way. And that is the vertical jump. The next locomotor skill that we're going to do is horizontal jumping. So horizontal jumping is a lot like vertical jumping in your form, but instead of jumping up and down, you're going to jump forward from your original spot. So I'll just model the form for horizontal jumping real quick, and then we'll have our student practice it for us. So for horizontal jumping, you have your feet shoulder length apart, knees bent, your arms back, and then you'll jump forward almost like a stretch, and then land in front of your original position. And your arms should swing forward as well, so that you establish the momentum. So it should look something like this. And you want your kids to move their arms forward so they have the momentum, and their legs need to stay shoulder length apart so that when they land, they're balanced and grounded. So we're gonna have our student practice that real quick for us. So we'll do it together. You can come over here so you don't have to jump on those. We have our legs shoulder length apart, knees bent, arms back, jump forward. Okay. So some problems that the kids might have is actually moving their arms forward when they jump to establish momentum, like they have with vertical jumping. So again, you could do the practice like we did with the vertical jumping with a partner, where they have to touch your arms. So we'll do that now. So I'll have you stand on that marker, and then as he jumps forward, he'll hit my hands to make sure that he's actually moving his arms up. We're going to practice that again because it got a little messed up. Okay. And they could practice that a couple times until they got it all worked out and they had the arm motion down pat. Now, if you wanted to put this skill into action with an activity, you could have them practice their jumps in a progression and get that longer stride to happen. So for this, we're going to use plates, and they'll jump from plate to plate. Another game you could do is called island hopping, where you have mats down and they have to jump, or island jumping, I'm sorry, because that's different than hopping. They have to jump from mat to mat, and then everything else that's not the mat is water and they're out. It's the same as the floor is lava, you can do that as well. But for these circumstances and the materials we have, we're going to do this instead. So I'm going to have you jump from plate to plate, and then that one's a bit longer, so your stride should be a bit longer. And this will help to establish those further strides and get them to work on those. And so that is the horizontal jump. The last locomotor skill that we're going to be doing today and learning about is leaping. So with leaping, you can start off in a run and have your arms swing back and forth, but the essentials of it is that you're taking off from one foot, having a moment of flight where both feet are off the ground, and then landing on your opposite foot. And then as you land on the opposite foot, you can run a little bit after you're landing until you stop. So I'm going to first model that for a student, and then we'll practice it. So you can start out with a run, and then get into your leap, and then run to end it. So for that one, I ran, I took off from my back foot, like so, or you take off from your back foot, and then you land on your opposite foot. And that's the basic principle of it, and there should be the moment of flight, which can occur when you have the speed incorporated into it. So to practice this, to help establish the concept of taking off from one foot and landing on the other foot, you can have the student do jumping leaps, just jumping in place using a jump rope. So my stick over here, come on student. So I'll demonstrate and then have them do it. So basically with the standing still leap, you take off on one foot and you land on the other foot. Now, he didn't put a lot of momentum behind that or force, so we're going to try that again. You got to put some force behind your takeoff foot and then land. So we did better that time. And if you want to help this progression and help these skills be refined, you could have 2 jump ropes. We only have one, so we made do. And you form them in a V so that, have you stand here? So you can practice your leaping and lengthen your strides. So you go. And then as you move up, your strides will become longer, and your length of your flight will be longer as well. So I'll have him practice the progressions. If you want to go ahead and move up to the bigger one. And then a way that you can practice this skill and incorporate into activity, you could do hurdle jumping with kids. We might not necessarily use hurdles like they do in track, but we might use cups or cones. So today we're going to be using cones or cups, and I'll spread them apart, and then we'll have our student start off with a run. Move this out of the way so he has room. Start off with a run. He'll leap.
Both of them or just one of them?
Just one at a time. His strides are a bit longer, so we might need to space them out. So he'll start off on a run. He'll leap over one cup, then leap over another cup, and then finish off with a run. Now I'm going to have my student come back, and we're going to practice this again because it was more of a small leap. We didn't have our spans of flight. I think that's because the cups weren't spread out enough, so we're going to practice it one more time. So remember, when we have our leap, we take off on one foot, have our moment of flight, and then land on the other foot. And go. And that was a lot better. And then you just keep practicing those different skills until you get them down pat. And then these students can incorporate these locomotor skills into their sports and extracurricular activities.